The great doors of the Galactic Council chamber had not moved in 300 years. They were built from metal that came from a dead star, and they weighed more than some small moons. It took the power of 6 fusion reactors just to open them. The Council kept them closed as a symbol that said the galaxy was at peace, and no one needed to enter uninvited. Today, those doors exploded inward. The metal screamed as it twisted. Pieces flew across the chamber and crashed into the walls. Smoke and dust filled the air. Every single delegate in the room froze in pure terror. Some of them had never even heard a loud noise before. Their worlds were quiet and peaceful. They had evolved on planets where nothing hunted them, where the weather was always gentle, where danger was just a word in old stories. 2 figures walked through the smoke. They were humans. Overseer was the first to react. He was a species made of living crystal. His body rang like a bell when he was scared, and right now he was making sounds that hurt the ears of everyone nearby. He raised one sharp arm and pointed at the intruders. "Security, security, remove these creatures immediately." Guards came running from every direction. There were warriors with their glowing bodies and electric weapons. There were soldiers in their massive armor suits. There were even 2, the species that everyone considered the most dangerous in the known galaxy. They were 8 feet tall, covered in natural armor, and had claws that could cut through starship hulls. The 2 humans did not even slow down. The woman walked in front. Her name was Commander, though no one in this room knew that yet. She was not tall by human standards, but she moved like something that had never known fear. Her skin was dark brown, and there was a long scar running from her forehead down to her chin. Her eyes were calm and cold as she looked at the army of guards rushing toward her. The man beside her was Captain. He was bigger than, with pale skin and hair the color of wheat. His shoulders were wide enough that he had to turn slightly to fit through normal doorways. There was a small smile on his face as he watched the guards approach. It was not a friendly smile. The first guard to reach them they were famous for their strength. They came from a world with gravity twice the galactic standard, and their muscles were dense and powerful. This particular guard swung a shock rod at its head with enough force to kill most known species. Caught the rod in her bare hand. The chamber went completely silent. Even the stopped moving. No one caught a strike. It was physically impossible. The force would shatter bones and tear muscles, but stood there holding the rod looking almost bored. "Is this supposed to hurt?" she asked. Then she squeezed, and the metal rod crumpled like paper in her grip. She tossed the broken pieces aside and kept walking. Dealt with the next 3 guards by himself. He moved faster than something his size should be able to move. One moment the guards were attacking, the next moment they were on the ground, groaning and trying to understand what had happened. He did not even look at them as he stepped over their bodies. They came next. They were the backup plan, the ultimate security measure. Nothing in the galaxy could stand against them in combat. They were living weapons, evolved on a nightmare world where everything was trying to kill everything else. Everything except Earth, apparently. The first swung its massive claws at. He ducked under the strike, grabbed this arm, and twisted. There was a horrible cracking sound, and they screamed. It was the first time anyone in the chamber had ever heard a scream. The second tried to grab from behind. She spun around, jumped up, and kicked it in the chest with both feet. The flew backward and crashed into a row of diplomatic seats, crushing them under its weight. It did not get back up. After that, no more guards came forward and walked to the center of the chamber. Every eye was on them. Every translator device was working overtime, trying to convey the absolute terror that filled the room. Species that had never agreed on anything were now united in a single thought. What are these creatures? "Good afternoon," said. Her voice was calm and pleasant, like she was greeting friends at a party. "My name is Commander of the Earth Stellar Defense Initiative. This is my colleague, Captain. We are here to address the Galactic Council." Overseer finally found his voice. His crystal body was still ringing with fear, but he was the Overseer. He had duties. He had responsibilities. He could not simply stand there shaking. You cannot be here," he stammered. "Humans are under observation protocol Omega. Your species is confined to your home system. You do not have faster-than-light travel. This is impossible." "And yet here we are," said. His voice was deeper than, and there was something in it that made several delegates take a step backward. "Funny how that works." "How did you get here?" a delegate demanded. They were insect-like creatures with beautiful wings. They were considered the scientists of the galaxy, and this violation of known physics was bothering them almost as much as the violence. "The nearest human system is 47 light-years away. Our sensors show no ships, no wormholes, no quantum signatures. How?" Smiled, it was not a comforting expression. "We walked." The translator devices buzzed with confusion. Several species requested clarification. Surely the word walked was being mistranslated. No being could walk across 47 light-years of space. "You have been watching our world for 2 centuries, continued. "You put up satellites and probes and sensors. You monitored every transmission, every rocket launch, every scientific breakthrough. You thought you knew everything about us." She paused and looked around the chamber. Every delegate was frozen in place. Even the ones who did not have faces capable of showing fear were radiating it through their body language, their chemical signals, their electromagnetic auras. "You were wrong," she said. "You were very, very wrong." Reached into his uniform and pulled out a small device. It was rectangular and thin, about the size of his palm. Every weapon in the room immediately pointed at him, but he ignored them completely. "This is a data chip," he said. "It contains information that every species in this chamber needs to see, information about what your council has really been doing to our world." He looked at Overseer with eyes that held no mercy. "Information about genocide." The word hung in the air like poison. And the Galactic Council realized, with growing horror, that their secrets were no longer secret. The holographic display in the center of the council chamber flickered to life. Every delegate could see it clearly, no matter where they sat. The technology was designed to show presentations and diplomatic messages. Today, it would show something very different. "Before we begin," said, "I want to make something clear. We did not come here to threaten you. We came here to tell you the truth. What you do with that truth is your choice." She nodded too, and he inserted the data chip into the display console. The first image appeared. It showed Earth from space, the beautiful blue and green world that the Council had classified as a Category 12. Were planets where life evolved under extreme conditions. Planets with crushing gravity, poisonous atmospheres, extreme temperatures, or dangerous wildlife. Earth had all of these things, which is why the Council had decided long ago that humans were too dangerous to be allowed into galactic society. "This is our home," said. "You call it we call it paradise." Several delegates made sounds of disbelief. The translators struggled to convey the concept. How could anyone call a Category 12 a paradise? "On Earth," said, "everything is trying to kill everything else. Our plants produce poison. Our animals have claws and fangs and venom. Our weather can destroy entire cities. Our ground shakes and splits open. Our mountains explode and cover the land in fire." He paused. "We evolved in this environment. We survived it. We conquered it. And then we started to wonder why no one else ever came to visit." The next image showed a satellite. It was clearly not human technology. The design was too elegant, too organic. It looked like something grown rather than built. "We found this in orbit around our moon in 2087, said. "At first, we thought it was debris, space junk from some ancient civilization. But when we brought it back to Earth and studied it, we discovered something interesting." The image zoomed in on the satellite's surface. There were markings there, symbols that matched no human language but were clearly intentional. It was a council probe, continued. Standard observation equipment according to your own records, but when we opened it up, we found something else inside, something that was not meant for observation. The next image made several delegates gasp. It showed a biological sample, thousands of times. It was clearly artificial, a complex structure of proteins and genetic material designed with incredible precision. "This is a biological weapon," said. His voice was flat, emotionless. "It was designed to target human DNA specifically. If released into our atmosphere, it would have killed 90% of our population within 6 months. The remaining 10% would have been rendered sterile." The chamber erupted in chaos. Delegates shouted at each other. Some demanded proof. Others demanded explanations. The delegate was screaming that this was impossible, that the council would never authorize such a thing. Waited for the noise to die down. When it did not, she simply started talking again. Her voice cut through the chaos like a blade. "We did not release this information immediately. We wanted to know more, so we started looking. We used the probe's technology to build better sensors, better telescopes, better listening devices. We found more probes, many more. Some of them were just observers like you claimed, but others." The display showed a new image. This one was a graph, a timeline stretching back 200 years. Along the timeline were markers, each one labeled with a date and a name. The Brisbane Plague of 2089. Official death toll, 47 million people. The council report called it a natural mutation of an existing virus. We now know it was introduced deliberately through atmospheric seeding. The delegates went quiet. Even the ones who had been shouting fell silent. The Kamchatka impact of 2134. A small asteroid struck our planet and caused a volcanic winter that lasted 2 years. Crop failures, famine, civil wars. 300 million dead. The council report called it an unfortunate natural disaster. His voice remained calm, but her eyes were burning. "We now know that the asteroid was redirected. We found the engine signatures. We traced them back to a mining vessel that was supposed to be in a completely different sector." Overseer's crystal body made a sound like breaking glass. That is a lie. That would never." The Pacific die-off of 2156 continued, ignoring him. 80% of all life in Earth's largest ocean died in a single year. Another natural disaster, according to the Council. Another mysterious tragedy. She turned to face Overseer directly. "We found the dispersal pods at the bottom of the ocean. They had Council serial numbers on them. They were filled with a synthetic toxin designed to destroy marine ecosystems." The display changed again. This time it showed documents. Hundreds of them, thousands of them, all marked with official council seals and signatures. Motion 447 Alpha. Proposed by the collective, seconded by the assembly, passed by a vote of 612 to 89. The motion authorized population reduction measures for the human species. The delegate looked like she wanted to disappear. Her wings folded tight against her body, and she refused to meet anyone's eyes. Motion 892 Gamma. Proposed by the Congress, seconded by the Empire, passed by a vote of 703 to 54. The motion authorized environmental adjustment of the human. Stepped forward. His massive frame blocked the display for a moment, and when he moved aside, a new document was visible. Motion 1203 Omega, proposed by the coalition, seconded by almost everyone, passed by a vote of 834 to 7. The motion authorized final solution protocols for the human species. He let that phrase hang in the air. Final solution. Every species in the galaxy knew what those words meant. "You voted to kill us all," said. "Not once, not twice, but 3 times. You tried plagues and asteroids and poisons. You tried to starve us and freeze us and burn us. You did everything you could think of to wipe us out." She smiled, and this time there was something dangerous in it. Something that reminded every delegate in the room that humans had evolved on a, surrounded by predators, fighting for survival every single day. And we are still here. The chamber was absolutely silent. No one moved. No one breathed. The weight of what they had just heard was crushing them all. "So now you know the truth," said. "The question is, what are you going to do about it?" No one had an answer. The silence lasted for exactly 12 seconds. Then Ambassador of the Collective stood up. She was small for her species, with wings the color of sunset and eyes that held centuries of political experience. She had survived 3 civil wars, 2 assassination attempts, and 1 complete governmental collapse. She was not going to be intimidated by 2 humans, no matter how impressive their entrance had been. "This is theater," she said loudly. "This is propaganda designed to make us feel guilty. Even if these documents are real, even if these events happened exactly as you describe, what does it matter? You are 2 individuals standing in a room full of the most powerful beings in the galaxy. Your species has no fleet, no weapons capable of threatening us, no allies. You have nothing." Looked at her with something that might have been respect. "You are brave," she said. "I admire that. Most of your colleagues are too scared to speak, but you are wrong about one thing." "And what is that?" "We do not have nothing, we have everything." Laughed. It was a deep, rumbling sound that echoed off the chamber walls. Several delegates flinched at the noise. "Let me tell you a story," he said. 6 years ago, a young scientist named Doctor was studying the Brisbane plague. She was trying to understand how it had spread so quickly, how it had killed so many people. She spent years analyzing samples, running simulations, testing theories. He began to walk slowly around the chamber. The delegates shrank back as he passed, pressing themselves against their seats. Doctor discovered something interesting. The plague was not just a weapon designed to kill humans. It was also incredibly advanced technology. The virus used quantum entanglement to communicate between cells. It could coordinate attacks across an entire body in microseconds. Nothing on Earth, nothing in our wildest dreams could do anything like that. He stopped in front of the section. The crystal beings chimed nervously. So Doctor asked herself a question. If this virus could use quantum entanglement to communicate, could it be used for something else? Could it be used for travel? The chamber went completely still. "It took her 3 years," continued. 3 years of work that would have taken any of your species centuries. She reverse-engineered your weapon. She understood it better than you did. And then she improved it. Pulled a small device from her pocket. It looked like a simple metal rod about the length of her hand. She held it up so everyone could see. "This is a quantum displacement beacon," she said. "It allows instantaneous travel to any point in the universe. No ships, no fuel, no time delay. You step through here and you step out there. Anywhere, everywhere." The ambassador made a choking sound. "That is impossible. The energy requirements alone would be impossible for you," agreed. "Your species evolved on a world with no predators. You never needed to run, you never needed to hide, you never needed to find new ways to survive." She smiled. "We did. We evolved to solve problems, to adapt, to overcome. And when you gave us a puzzle, we solved it." "You are lying," Overseer said, but his voice was shaking. "This is a trick, a bluff. If you had such technology, you would have used it already. You would have attacked us." "Would we?" asked. He had returned to his side, and now he was looking directly at the Overseer. "Is that what you would do? Is that what your species does when it discovers a threat?" The question hung in the air, heavy with meaning. Everyone in the room knew the answer. They had voted to destroy humanity 3 times. They had tried plagues and asteroids and poisons. Of course that was what they would do. "We are not like you," said softly. "That is what you never understood. You looked at our world and saw monsters. You saw predators and prey, violence and death. You thought that because we evolved in blood, we would only ever crave more blood. She shook her head slowly. But violence is not all we learned on our. We also learned cooperation. We learned love. We learned mercy. We had to because without those things, we would have destroyed ourselves long before you ever found us. Reached into his pocket and pulled out another device. This one was larger, about the size of a book. He pressed a button, and a holographic map appeared above it. The map showed the galaxy, but it was marked with thousands of small dots. "These are he said. "Every species represented in this chamber, every colony, every station, every outpost. We have visited all of them." The chaos that followed was absolute. Delegates screamed. Some tried to run for the exits. Others collapsed in their seats, unable to process what they were hearing. The guards drew their weapons but had no idea what to point them at. "We have walked your streets," continued, his voice cutting through the noise. "We have eaten in your restaurants. We have played with your children. We have learned your languages, your customs, your histories. For 6 years we have been among you and you never knew." Let the chaos continue for a moment, then raised her hand. Somehow the simple gesture brought silence. "We could have destroyed you," she said. "We could have poisoned your water supplies, sabotaged your power grids, assassinated your leaders. We could have done to you exactly what you did to us, but we did not." She looked around the room, meeting the eyes of every delegate she could see. "We chose not to. We chose peace. We chose mercy. We chose to give you a chance that you never gave us." The ambassador was the first to speak. Her voice was barely a whisper. "Why?" Smiled. This time there was something warm in it, something almost human. "Because that is who we are. We are not just survivors. We are not just predators. We are humans. We are dreamers and builders and healers. We have made terrible mistakes in our history, but we have always tried to be better. We have always believed that tomorrow could be brighter than today." She stepped forward, and every delegate in the room held their breath. "We are not here to destroy you. We are here to join you. We want peace. We want friendship. We want to be part of something greater than ourselves." Her eyes hardened. "But we will not beg, and we will not be ignored. You will deal with us as equals or you will deal with us as enemies. The choice is yours." The message was clear. Humanity was not asking for permission. They were simply offering a choice. And the galaxy had never faced a choice like this before. The council chamber descended into complete disorder. Delegates were shouting at each other in 100 different languages. Some were demanding immediate military action against Earth. Others were calling for emergency evacuations of there. A few were simply sitting in stunned silence, trying to understand how everything they knew had changed in a single afternoon. Overseer tried to restore order. He used the chamber's amplification system to call for calm. He activated the emergency protocols that were supposed to bring everyone back to their seats. Nothing worked. The council had been shaken to its core, and no amount of procedure could fix that. Through all of this and stood perfectly still. They did not react to the chaos around them. They did not smile or frown or show any emotion at all. They simply waited like predators who knew their prey had nowhere to run. Finally, after nearly an hour, the chamber began to quiet down. Delegates returned to their seats. Guards lowered their weapons. Translators stopped overloading from the volume of simultaneous conversations. And slowly, everyone turned back to the two humans in the center of the room. "You have made your point," Overseer said. His crystal body had stopped ringing with fear, replaced by something colder, calculation. "You have demonstrated that humanity is more capable than we believed. You have shown us evidence of our past, mistakes, but you have not told us what you actually want." Nodded. "Fair enough. Let me be specific." She held up one finger. "First, we want Observation Protocol Omega ended immediately. All Council ships, probes, and satellites will leave our solar system within 30 standard days. Any Council vessel that enters human space after that deadline will be considered hostile and destroyed. A ripple of murmurs went through the chamber, ignored them, and held up a second finger. Second, we want full diplomatic recognition. Humanity will be acknowledged as a sovereign species with the same rights and protections as any other Council member. We will have embassies on your worlds, and you will have embassies on ours. Third finger. Third, we want a seat on this Council, a permanent seat with full voting rights. Our voice will be heard in every decision that affects the galaxy. Fourth finger. Fourth, we want access to all Council technology, trade routes, and resources. We will participate in your economy as equals, not as outsiders. She lowered her hand and met Overseer's eyes directly. That is what we want: recognition, respect, a place among you, nothing more. The delegate stood up. He was massive, even for his species, with dark armor plates and scars that spoke of a lifetime of combat. His name was General, and he was famous throughout the galaxy as the most decorated warrior that had ever produced. "You speak of peace," he said. His voice was like grinding stones. "But you arrived with violence. You destroyed our doors, you defeated our guards, you threatened our lives. This is not how peace is made." Smiled, it was not a nice smile. "General, I was wondering when you would speak." The eyes narrowed. "You know who I am. We know everything about you. We know about the Battle of Seven, where you led the charge that broke the enemy lines. We know about the Siege of the Crimson Nebula, where you held your position for 17 days without food or water. We know about the medal you wear around your neck, the one you received for killing 100 enemy soldiers with your bare claws." Stepped closer to the. They were almost the same height, which meant they could look each other in the eyes. "We also know that you were one of the strongest voices in favor of Motion 1203 Omega. You argued that humans were too dangerous to live. You said that the only good human was a dead human. You convinced many of your colleagues to vote for our extinction." The chamber went quiet. General did not look away, but something flickered in his eyes. It might have been surprise, it might have been fear. "I still believe that," he said slowly. "Looking at you now, I believe it more than ever. You are monsters. You do not belong among civilized species." "Maybe," agreed. "Maybe we are monsters, but we are monsters who could have killed you all and chose not to. We are monsters who came to your home and asked for friendship instead of demanding surrender. We are monsters who want to build instead of destroy." He leaned closer, close enough that they could smell him. Humans had a distinctive scent, something the other species found disturbing. It was the smell of a predator. "What does that make you, General? You voted to murder billions of innocent people, children, families, people who had never done anything to threaten you. You tried to wipe out an entire species because you were afraid of what we might become." General said nothing. His claws twitched at his sides, but he did not move. "The difference between us," said softly, "is that we know what we are. We know the darkness inside us. We have faced it, fought it, and chosen to be better. Can you say the same?" The stepped back. For the first time in his long career, he looked uncertain. Spoke again, drawing attention away from the confrontation. "We are not here to judge you. We are not here to punish you. What happened in the past cannot be changed, but the future is still unwritten." She looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of as many delegates as she could. "You have a choice to make. You can continue to see us as enemies, as threats, as monsters to be destroyed. If you do, we will defend ourselves. We will fight back. And we will win because we have spent our entire existence learning how to survive against impossible odds." Her voice softened. "Or you can choose something different. You can choose to see us as potential allies, as partners, as friends. We have so much to offer each other. Our technology is different from yours. Our perspectives are different. Our strengths and weaknesses are different. Together, we could accomplish things that neither of us could do alone. She paused, letting her words sink in. We came here with violence because it was the only way to make you listen. We know that. We are not proud of it. But sometimes, you have to speak in a language that people understand. And the only language you seemed to understand was force. Now we are speaking in a different language. We are speaking the language of hope, of possibility, of a future where humans and council species work together instead of against each other. She extended her hand toward Overseer. It was a human gesture, one that meant greeting, friendship, agreement. "Take my hand," she said, "not as a sign of surrender but as a sign of beginning, a beginning of something new." The crystal overseer looked at her hand for a long moment. The entire chamber held its breath. Then slowly, he extended one of his own appendages and touched her palm. "The council will vote," he said quietly. "That is all I can promise." Nodded, "That is all we ask." The vote would come soon, and for the first time in 200 years, humanity's fate would not be decided in secret. The vote took 3 days. For 3 days, the Galactic Council debated and argued and screamed at each other. Old alliances shattered. New ones formed. Species that had been enemies for centuries suddenly found themselves on the same side, united by their fear of humanity. Other species that had always been friends now faced each other across an impossible divide, and waited in a small room near the main chamber. They had been given food and water, though most of it was not suitable for human consumption. They had been given guards, though it was unclear whether the guards were there to protect them or contain them. And they had been given access to the Council's communication network, which let them watch the debates in real time. "They are terrified," said on the second day, watching a delegate argue that humanity should be destroyed while there was still time. "Of course they are," replied. "We would be terrified too if something like us appeared out of nowhere." "Do you think they will vote yes?" Was quiet for a moment. "I think they will vote for survival. The question is whether they think survival means destroying us or accepting us." On the third day, the voting began. Each species had one vote, cast by their designated ambassador. The votes were recorded publicly, displayed on massive screens throughout the chamber. There would be no secret ballots this time. Whatever decision the council made, everyone would know who was responsible. The collective voted first. Ambassador stood at her podium, her wings folded tight against her body. She looked older than she had 3 days ago, as if the weight of this decision had aged her. The collective votes in favor of human membership. A gasp went through the chamber. They had been among the strongest supporters of the extermination motions. Their vote was a shock. The assembly voted next. Overseer spoke for his people, his crystal body chiming softly with each word. The assembly votes in favor of human membership. More gasps, more shock. The 2 species most directly implicated in the genocide evidence had both voted yes. The voting continued. Species after species stepped forward to cast their ballots. Some voted yes quickly, as if they wanted to get it over with. Others voted no with angry speeches about the danger humanity posed. A few abstained, unable to commit either way. Watch the numbers climb. Yes, 127, no, 34, abstain, 8. The count continued. Yes, 284, no, 78, abstain, 15. Yes, 516, no, 156, abstain, 29. When the coalition's turn came, the entire chamber fell silent. General walked to the podium with slow, heavy steps. His armor plates scraped against each other as he moved. He did not look at but everyone could feel the tension in the room. "I have fought in 37 wars," he said slowly. "I have killed more enemies than I can count. I have never retreated. I have never surrendered. I have never shown weakness." He paused, and for a moment it seemed like he might say something else. Something about honor or tradition, or the warrior code that they had followed for 10,000 years. Instead, he said, "But I have also never fought an enemy that chose not to fight back when they could have won. I have never faced a species that offered peace when they could have demanded conquest." He turned and looked directly at. The human was right. We voted to destroy them out of fear, out of cowardice. We were afraid of what they might become, so we tried to kill them before they had the chance. His voice hardened. That was wrong, it was dishonorable, and the do not support dishonorable actions. He turned back to the council. The coalition votes in favor of human membership. The chamber erupted. They were the most feared warriors in the galaxy. Their support meant more than any 10 other species combined. If they were willing to accept humanity, then resistance was not just futile, it was foolish. The remaining votes came quickly after that. A few more species voted no, but they were clearly in the minority. The final count was displayed on every screen in the chamber. Yes, 847, no, 112, abstain, 37. Humanity had won. Overseer rose from his seat and walked to the center of the chamber. He stopped in front of N, who had been escorted in to hear the final results. "The Galactic Council has voted," he said formally. "Humanity is hereby granted full membership in the Council of Civilized Species. Observation Protocol Omega is terminated. All Council vessels will withdraw from human space within 30 days. Humanity will be assigned a permanent seat on this council, with full voting rights and diplomatic privileges." He paused, and something that might have been emotion flickered across his crystalline features. "Welcome to the galaxy, humans. May we prove worthy of your trust." Smiled, it was a real smile this time, warm and genuine. "May we prove worthy of yours," she replied. Stepped forward and looked out at the assembled delegates. Most of them were still afraid. He could see it in their body language, smell it in their chemical signatures. They had accepted humanity because they had no choice, not because they wanted to. It would take years, maybe decades, before that fear turned into true acceptance. But it was a start. "I know that many of you still do not trust us," he said loudly. "I know that you accepted our membership because you were afraid of what we would do if you refused. That is understandable. Fear is a powerful motivator." He began to walk through the chamber, passing by delegates who shrank back from his presence. "But I want you to understand something. We are not here to replace you. We are not here to dominate you. We are not here to prove that we are better than you." He stopped in the middle of the room and turned in a slow circle, looking at everyone. "We are here because we are lonely. For 200 years, we looked up at the stars and wondered if anyone else was out there. We built telescopes and radio dishes and spacecraft, all in the hope of finding someone to talk to. And when we finally discovered that the galaxy was full of intelligent life, we also discovered that everyone wanted us dead." His voice grew quieter. "That hurt, more than the plagues or the asteroids or the poisons. It hurt to know that we were hated before we ever had a chance to introduce ourselves. It hurt to know that the universe had already decided we were monsters." He looked at who nodded slightly. "But we did not give up. We never give up. That is the human way. No matter how many times we are knocked down, we get back up. No matter how impossible the odds, we keep fighting. And no matter how much the universe seems to hate us, we keep hoping for something better." He smiled, and this time there was something almost gentle in it. "We are not your enemies. We never were. We are just another species trying to find our place in the universe. And we hope more than anything that we can find that place alongside you." The chamber was silent, but it was a different kind of silence than before. Not the silence of fear or shock, but the silence of contemplation, of consideration, of the first fragile stirrings of something that might someday become understanding. Walked to her new seat in the council chamber. It was a simple chair, designed for human proportions, placed among the delegates of 100 other species. She sat down and looked around at her new colleagues. They were still afraid of her. She could see it in their eyes, but that was okay. Fear would fade with time. What mattered was what came after. Took his place beside her, standing guard as he always did. He crossed his arms and surveyed the room with the watchful eyes of a predator who had chosen to become a protector. The two had entered the council meeting expecting to fight. They had found something better, not victory, not surrender, but the beginning of something new. The beginning of a future where humanity was no longer alone. And somewhere back on Earth, 8 billion humans looked up at the stars and smiled. Their ambassadors had done well. The galaxy was watching, waiting to see what these strange creatures from it would do next. Humanity intended to surprise them. They always did.